Hello and welcome to the latest episode of How to Draw Awesome Animals with your friends at Peppermint Narwhal. This is the video series where we teach how to draw animals in a fun and simple way while sharing facts about the species as we go. So let's get started. We'll take a look at the animal that we're drawing today. And since it's Sea Turtle Week, we've selected the green sea turtle as the animal for today's drawing. Now the green sea turtle is one of 7 sea turtle species found worldwide. And as I said, the green sea turtle is its common name. Below that in the parentheses, you see we've listed its scientific name. And below that, we have its conservation status, which is currently endangered. And that comes from the IUCN's Red List of Threatened Species. So like many sea turtles, they're facing extinction. So we definitely have to do better conservation work to protect these awesome animals. But let's go ahead and get started. And remember, by drawing this animal, we can post it online after we're done using the hashtag #MintySketch. And then that'll be a great way to tell people about the plight of the sea turtle and how we could do better with conservation. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put 3 dots on my page. And if you've been on a past video, you know exactly what I'm doing. If you're new, I'm going to use 3 dots to indicate a curved line. I'll use 2 for a straight line. So there we got a curved line. The center dot will be like the arch of our curve. And I'll just kind of connect those nicely. Now right where I put that dot, or that arch, below I'm just going to put 1 dot because I'm actually going to use these other 2 endpoints and make another curved line. And there we go. This is going to serve as the eye socket of our turtle. And we'll go ahead and now inside of that, kind of put another curved line. We're going to tuck these curved lines in. Essentially we're doing the same thing in the interior here. So there's 3 dots. There we go. And now just kind of connect those nicely. And then same thing, 1 dot below and internally there. And then kind of stitch those together there. We got a nice almond-shaped eye. I'm going to put a little circle inside of that, just a little oval or circle. And I'm going to leave that part white. And I'm going to color in all the rest of that to darken it. And that way I'll get a little bit of the, even the white of the paper gives a nice sort of highlight to the eye. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to put on some of the back of the head. So I'll put a dot here, and I'll put a dot here, and I'll put a dot there. So I've got 3 dots again, and that's a nice curved line. And there we go. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to, at the front of this dot, or this dot here that we have, I'm going to make 2 simple, we're going to work on the nose here, but I'm going to just put in the nostrils first. So I'm just right below that dot, I'm going to make 2 simple ovals, kind of close together, just like that. And that's going to be my nostrils. So now to put the nose on, I'll put a dot here and a dot here. I'll just make a little straight line just like that. And then from this dot, I'll use that dot that we have there. I'll put a dot here. I'll just kind of, you can go either direction there. This time we're in the reverse. I'll make a little nostrils there, or the nose for the nostrils. That looks pretty good. So now we're going to start making the beak of our sea turtle. So we'll put a dot there at the bottom of the nose. Put a dot here and a dot there. And then just kind of curve these together, just like that. That looks pretty good. Now I'll use this end dot here. I'll put a dot here and a dot here. Again, another curved line. Just capture that beak a little bit there. All right, that looks nice. Now I'll use this end dot here. This dot, I'll put a dot here. I'll put a dot up there, and we'll make a nice happy smile on this sea turtle. So there we go. And at the end of this line here, I'm just going to put a little curved line here up by the eye, just a nice dimple smile, like happy animals here on Peppermint Narwhal, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to do the lower part of the mouth here. So I'll put a dot there, and a dot there, and I'll just sort of make a nice curved line connecting those down. There we go. And from this part here, I'll use this end dot here, and a dot here. And we'll just kind of make a nice curved line to kind of complete that. And inside to do the tongue, it's like almost drawing birds in the distance, or the letter M. There we go. So we got this sort of little tongue shape in there. And then I'm going to color in everything but that tongue, make the tongue stand out. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Nice. All right, so now we're going to complete the lower jaw. And to do that, we're going to just kind of mirror this sort of line that we just drew for the outside of the mouth and then kind of take it down just like that, just giving that little bit of the lower jaw there. So that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to kind of put a dot here, and a dot here, and a dot there. And there we go. We'll just kind of make the rest of the lower of the head. And then for a bit of the back of the head here, we'll put a dot here. We'll use this dot that we have, and we'll just kind of put a nice clothesline there, or a curve line there. Complete that. So now we'll go ahead and put the neck on here. So we'll put a dot here, and a dot here. And we'll make a nice curved line just like that. And then from the bottom part of this lower part of the head, we'll put a dot there, a dot there, and a dot there. And then we'll just kind of connect those just like that. Nice curved line. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we'll go ahead and we're actually gonna, at this point, kind of start a little bit of the back of the shell here, or the what's called the carapace, the top part of the shell. So we're not gonna do much of it right now, but we'll just sort of ground the neck here with a little bit of one of the pre-central scoots here. So we'll put a dot here on the back of the neck, put a dot here and a dot here, and we'll make a nice curved line there. And then right where the neck is, we'll put a dot there, and a dot there, and just kind of make another curved line. And we'll come back to that, but that'll be pretty good for now. Below the neck here, we'll put a dot here, and a dot here, and a dot here. And we'll make a nice curved line, just like that. And that's gonna work us towards our first four flipper. So we'll go ahead and put a dot here. We'll use that dot here, and this dot here, and then make a nice curved line kind of coming there. And then from this dot, we'll put a dot here, and a dot there. And then again, you can go either direction, remember, but I'll just sort of connect these just like that. That looks pretty good. And then that's gonna give us the front part of it. We'll come back to up to this area here, and we'll put a dot here, a dot here, and a dot here. Make a nice curved line, there we go. And then from this one here, dot here, and these big, nice front four flippers. And then we'll use that dot, this dot, and then we'll put a dot maybe right out here. Just overshoot it a little bit. There we go. And then I'll just make these two lines just connect with a straight line. Finish them off. That looks pretty good. All right, so now we're gonna put a dot out here, a dot out here, and a dot out here, and we're gonna do the other four flipper. So we'll just go ahead and connect those nicely there. Then at the very end of this, we'll just draw like almost like the letter V for that tip there. And then from that tip there, we'll do a dot there, nice curve there. And then from that dot to this dot to the back side of the body here, make a nice curved line there. And then we got the other side of that four flipper on the other side. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now we're gonna come down here, kind of where the bottom side of the body is here. We'll go ahead and put a dot here. We're gonna make a dot out here and a dot out there, and then we'll go ahead and connect those using a curving line here. That looks pretty good. And this is actually going to be the underside of the shell, which is called the plastron, but we'll see that a little better as we start working on the rest of this. So that's going to bring us to a rear flipper here, so we can go ahead and put one of those on here. We'll put a dot here, we'll use this dot, and we'll use a dot out here, and just kind of make a nice curving line there. That looks pretty good. And then now we're going to essentially make like some wiggle lines, squiggle lines here. We're just gonna sort of, you might wanna watch me do this. Basically gonna just go zigzaggy for a little bit. Get a few digits on there. You actually can see they actually have little digits on their flippers there. And then we'll get about 4 there. That looks all right. Go ahead and put a dot here, use this end dot, and there we go, we got the rear flipper. So you can see their big front 4 flippers is where they generate most of their power and movement, and then these just sort of help them with turning, but they don't generate a lot of power from the rear flipper. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we're going to start to kind of come back to this carapace that we didn't really get too far on. So from this part, this dot here, we'll reinforce that by making a little bigger dot there, and then I'll put a dot here and a dot here, and we'll make a little curved line there. That looks pretty good. And then dot here and a dot here, another curved line there. That looks pretty good. And then at the end point, I'll make that a little more exaggerated so we can see that. I'll put a dot down here, and I'll put a dot out here, and now we've got a big sweeping curving line here. This time I'm going to go from the opposite side here. Again, either direction will work. Actually, I'm kind of connecting them from both sides there, so that looks pretty good. All right, so that's going to be pretty good. From this end dot here, we'll go ahead and put a single dot up here, and that's a straight line, pretty straightforward. So this is going to start to become our back of the top of the shell here, which again is called the carapace. So we'll use this end dot, and we'll put a dot, maybe we'll put a dot right up here on the top of that little scoot that we were working on there. So I got a dot here, and then I'll put a dot right about here for the middle point. So another big sweeping curve, just like we did on this other side. So again, whatever direction is easiest for you to go, I'll go this way. So kind of hit my middle dot there, and then work my way to that end dot. There we go. And that's going to give us the top part of the shell, which is called the carapace. So there's some important details now to do here on this carapace. So we got this, what's actually called sort of marginal scoots that'll be sort of going along the side here. So it's almost like they have a little seam on the edge and then the bigger segments in the interior. So to do that, we'll go ahead and use this end dot that we have there, put a dot down here and a dot down here. And so we're almost kind of making this lip on the shell there. And that's where those marginal scoots will go, and we'll draw some details on that in a little bit. So now we're just going to kind of wrap it around the foreflipper and the head. It kind of rounds out around those. So we got this dot here, this dot here, this dot here. And there we go, got a nice curved shape. So we're essentially just sort of mirroring what we see below here. So I'll just kind of 3 dots there to make that little bit of the curve. And then this dot here and this dot here. I'll do another curved line. And that gives us all of those. These are called marginal scoots here. This is the sort of pre-central scoot would be the one in the middle here, and the one at the end is called the post-central scoot, and then everything else is just marginal scoots. So to do that, I'm just making some little lines here. There we go, to indicate those segments there. Now, we'll go ahead and put on some of the actual segments of the shell. So to do that here, we're going to make a dot here and a dot here and draw a straight line. That looks pretty good. And then from the top of the shell, we'll draw a dot and make a straight line there. And this is where we're working on what's called the central scoots. And these are the ones that are bigger and they go along the spine of the sea turtle. So we'll come back to finishing the central scoots, but now we're going to do what's called the lateral scoots. And these are the big ones on the sides of the animal. You'll see 4 on a sea turtle on this side, and of course 4 would be on the other side, but we don't see those. So to do that, we're going to make, essentially, we'll draw 3 straight lines here. So I'll put a dot here and a dot here, make 1 straight line, and then I'll put a dot up here, dot out here, and there's my 2nd straight line. And my 3rd straight line, I'll put a dot here and a dot here. And then there we go, we've got our 3 straight lines. Okay, we'll start filling these in a second, but this one's gonna be easy. We'll just use this dot and connect them. But we don't wanna connect the other ones like that. They actually don't connect like that. We need to put a dot here in the middle, and then we can make a dot there, connect it, and then another one straight line connecting like that. Same thing happens here, put a dot there, and then connect them. And then there would be kind of the same thing happening back here. We don't see all of it, but there we go. So now we've got these 2 dots that we just want to draw straight lines to the top part of the carapace. So you can do that just by kind of connecting them to your outer line. And there we go. We've got our sea turtle looking pretty good. He's all pretty much completed. We'll put some finishing details on that. And a sea turtle has a lot of different, actually we're going to, let's put a curved line here. Let's put a dot here, a dot here, and a dot here. And this will give us the kind of carapace. That's what's happening under here, this bottom part of the shell. It's called the carapace. If you want to sort of add some, they're not as defined, but just some segments there that indicate that bottom part of the carapace. Now we'll go ahead and put a tail on this guy. Green sea turtles, when you see a tail on the back of a green sea turtle, a big tail, that's going to indicate that it's actually a male. Females, the tail would not be very visible beyond the shell. You really wouldn't see it. So if you do see a big long tail, that's a male sea turtle. And that's what we're actually going to draw here today. So if you don't want to draw a boy sea turtle, you can leave this off. But I'm going to make a 3 dot here, curve. There we go. And then I'm going to use that end dot and just kind of bring it back. And there's my distinctly male tail that we have at the bottom of this sea turtle's body here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and finish off with some final details here. I'm going to put some scales on this guy, just using some sort of ovals here, and I'll indicate some of those on the fore flippers there. And again, just some fast little ovals. They have a lot of these defined segments. If you want to color them in, oftentimes you'll see on a sea turtle they can be a little bit darker in color. So it depends on the age of the animal. Sometimes as they get older, a lot of colors fade, get duller. But these are going to be pretty distinct on the sea turtle here. Headed towards the armpit of the flipper here, you see these almost like 4 little rounded, almost like drawing mountains there. So I'll just add those in on the 4 flippers there. Again, you can add as many of these as you want. There's a bunch of them. You don't have to add too many. You don't have to go overboard with it, but a little bit of these on the hind flipper as well will be kind of a fun detail. And that'll be a nice sort of distinguishing trait of the sea turtle. Also, this sea turtle has some of them on his head too, and a green sea turtle would have 2 very distinctive scales right up here, right after the nose. One would be a little bit on the other side of the head. We really wouldn't see all of it, but they would have 2. If you see 2 right out of the gate there, that's definitely would be a green sea turtle there trait. Some other sea turtles share that, but different ones have different arrangements up here. So I'm just going to kind of put on some more of these. One last thing about the green sea turtle that's kind of interesting is as an adult it becomes predominantly herbivore, which means it mostly will not eat meat. It'll eat things like plants. It also eats non-plants like algae. And we'll go ahead and pretty much take a look at our finished drawing. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got green sea turtle, as I said, predominantly an herbivore as he grows older. One of 7 sea turtles, all of which are a bit at risk for extinction, and this guy is definitely endangered. So again, we'd love to see how your drawing turned out. If you want to use the hashtag #MintySketch, you can post it online. And again, if you like this video, please give it a like. You can also subscribe to the channel for future videos. We thank you for your participation and hope to see your video or your drawing out there using that hashtag #MintySketch. Have a great day. Bye-bye.